Guys, here is my beautiful puppy. She's a corgi. She's not a puppy anymore. She's 7 years old. Okay? And so tonight's question, like Jess wants to ask, tonight's question, will I see Rory in heaven? That's the question. A lot of people want to know, are we going to see our pets in heaven? Our pets bring a lot of joy to our lives, make us very happy. We love spending time with them. Will I see this little puppy in heaven? That's what we're going to answer tonight, okay? Guys, we've had Rory since she was just a little puppy. And yeah, we love our pets, right? We love our pets. And so it's a great time, I think, to discuss this topic. And hopefully we can get some clarity on it from the scriptures, okay? And I want to start out with a story. Guys, this is Dietrich Bonhoeffer. At 11 a.m., there was a knock at my door, and a 10-year-old boy came into my room with something I had requested from his parents. I noticed that something was amiss with the boy, who is usually cheerful and cheerfulness personified. And soon it came out. He broke down in tears, completely beside himself. And I could hear only the words, "Mr. Wolf is dead." And then he cried and cried. But who is Mr. Wolf? As it turns out, it is a young German Shepherd dog that was sick for 8 days and had just died a half an hour ago. So the boy, inconsolable, sat down on my knee and could hardly regain his composure. He told me how the dog died and how everything is lost now. He played only with the dog. Each morning, the dog came to the boy's bed and awakened him, and now the dog was dead. What could I say? So he talked to me about it for quite a while. Then suddenly, his wrenching crying became very quiet, and he said, "But I know he's not dead at all." "What do you mean?" "His spirit is now in heaven, where it is happy." Once in class, a boy asked the religion teacher what heaven was like, and she said she had not been there yet. "But tell me now, will I see Mr. Wolf again?" "He's certainly in heaven." And that's where it ends. You see, Dietrich Bonhoeffer is describing the situation where this young boy had lost his pet dog. And he was sure, he was convinced that he would see Mr. Wolf again in heaven. And this is a question I get all the time. People want to know. And again, of course, pets add so much joy and value to our lives. Animals are a gift from God that we can enjoy. And so we want to know, will we see our pets in heaven? It's not an invalid concern. It's not immature to ask or consider these things, okay? Now that we've got that, I would now like us to go into the scriptures and see what the scriptures have to say about the topic. So let's go there together. Now, the first thing I want you guys to know is that the Bible does say that there will be animals in the new heaven and new earth. Revelation 21 and 22 talk about this in pretty good detail, but Isaiah 60 and Isaiah 11 go into some of the other information for us. So let's just go to Isaiah 60 and Isaiah 11. For sake of time, I'm not going to read all of Revelation 21 and 22. I'll leave that for you to read in your time. But let's go to Isaiah 60, verses 1 to 6. Listen to this. A description of the new heavens and new earth. "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Lift up your eyes and look about you. All assemble and come to you. Your sons come from afar, your daughters are carried on the hip. Then you will look and be radiant. Your heart will throb and swell with joy. The wealth on the seas will be brought to you. To you the riches of the nations will come. Herds of camels will cover your land. Young camels from Midian and Ephah. And all from Sheba will come bearing gold and incense and proclaiming the praise of the Lord." So here, describing in grandiose terms what the new heavens and new earth is going to be like, here in the book of Isaiah, herds of camels will cover your land. Young camels from Midian and Ephah. So there will be camels here, and they are herds of camels, and they're great. And that's part of what this is pointing out. Let's go as well to Isaiah 11, 6 to 9. "The wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat. The calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. The cow will feed with the bear. Their young will lie down together, and the lion will eat straw like the ox. The infant will play near the cobra's den. The young child will put its hand into the viper's nest. They will neither harm nor destroy on all my holy mountain, for the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the Lord as the waters cover the sea. In these passages, we can see that Isaiah uses the picture or imagery of animals getting along and coming and gathering together amongst God's people. And you can see the whole carnivore herbivore distinction is broken down. And it explicitly says the cow is going to feed with the bear. Their young are going to lie together. The lion is going to eat straw like an ox. Because in the new heavens and new earth, that killing and death, in order to preserve or continue on with life, will be no more. That's what the new heavens and new earth are described like. Now, these can be metaphor or simile that are being used to prop up the language in such a way as to describe the heavens and earth as unimaginable, right? But I also think that there's a literal element to them. I don't think the new heavens and new earth will be devoid of animals. I think they will be present there. And so we can see that there will be animals in heaven. I think that's clear. But here's the question now as it relates to our topic tonight. Okay, there's going to be animals in heaven, but are they going to be your animals? And there are two things to consider at this point. First is whether or not animals have a soul. The second is whether or not animals can sin. And so now I'll treat them in reverse because I think it's easier that way. Animals can't sin, okay? Animals don't have that moral distinction, right and wrong. They act out of instinct, they act out of training, etc. So I don't think that animals can sin in the way that human beings can sin. So if your pet is not in heaven, it's not because they sinned and they're in hell, okay? That's not where the distinction lies. That's not where the issue lies. Instead, the question is, do they have a soul in the same way that human beings have a soul and therefore go to heaven? That's where the question truly lies. Now, I want you to know, down through church history, many have posited that animals have souls, but they don't have souls like human beings. And so that's where some of the issue lies. Can a soul that is not a soul like a human being inherit heaven? Okay? When you think about the difference between animals and human beings, there is a distinction there. Human beings have the very image of God in which they are made. Human beings have the breath, the direct breath of God breathing life into them in the book of Genesis. They're created, human beings are created in a way that is different from the animals and distinguishes them from the animals. So there is a difference here. Now, is this difference of necessity something that means human beings can go to heaven or hell, but animals can't go to heaven? I don't necessarily think so. And there's an interesting passage in Romans 8:21-23. Listen to this. That the creation itself will be liberated from its bondage to decay and brought into the freedom and glory of the children of God. We know that the whole creation has been groaning as in the pains of childbirth right up to the present time. Not only so, but we ourselves who have the first fruits of the Spirit groan inwardly as we wait eagerly for our adoption to sonship, the redemption of our bodies. Verse 22 is very interesting here, guys. Here in verse 22, we are told the whole creation is groaning as in the pains of childbirth. And who lives or dwells in the whole creation? Well, animals do. There's some of who lives and dwells in the whole creation. You see, what we're reading here in Romans 8:21-23 demonstrates the fact that originally God created the earth and the Garden of Eden perfect, and human beings were supposed to spread the Garden of Eden all over the face of the earth. But we rebelled and sinned. And when we sinned as human beings, not only were we affected, but all of creation was affected. The entirety of creation, was plunged into sin and death. And it's because of human beings. And so what we begin to see and begin to recognize is that not only are human beings being redeemed, but also creation itself is being redeemed. That's something that God is doing through the gospel of Jesus Christ. He's redeeming human beings, but he's also redeeming all of creation. And in his redemption of all of creation, he is redeeming the created order, animals, plants, the earth, etc. Okay? And once we get to the new heavens and new earth, that redemption is fulfilled. Now, I think this indicates that the fallenness of the world is somehow going to be changed or morphed as we head into the new heavens and new earth. And I believe that also includes the animal and plant life and all that type of stuff as well. So we begin to get closer to our answer. Now, unfortunately, The Bible comes short of telling us explicitly whether or not there will be our pets in heaven. So I put, we don't know, but given the trajectory of the redemption of creation, given the trajectory of God redeeming everything in the created order, I believe it is reasonable to believe and to hope and trust in God that he will regenerate our pets. And I hesitate to use it in that sense because it's not a true resurrection like we receive. It's going to be different in some sense, but I don't think that it's unreasonable to hope, to believe, and trust that God will bring your pets to heaven and that we will be able to see them and interact with them. There's actually a poem written by John Piper where he talks about looking up from the streams of the water of life and seeing one of his childhood dogs running over and leaping over the stream to jump into his arms. And it's just a poem. He's picturing it, but I think it's reasonable to believe and to hope and to trust that God will cause our pets to be in heaven with us. We don't know for sure, okay? And I want to make that clear. Where the Bible stops short, we should also stop short. But it seems to me to be very consistent with the character of God that he would allow us to see our pets again in heaven. That is ultimately in his hands, but we can trust and hope in him that he's going to do all things right. And if he doesn't have that for us, he has something for us that's infinitely greater. Hey guys, Pastor Channer here. Thanks for swinging by. Hope you liked that video. And if you did, would you mind hitting the like and subscribe buttons down below? More than that, if you head down to the description, you can see links to both our Twitch and our Discord. We would love to interact with you more live. So if you'd like to catch us there, that would be great. Anyway, I hope you're doing well. Take care. God bless. Bye now.